Is virtue signaling replacing your real values? Hi, I'm Ann Margaret with this week's Sacred Sunday message to raise the vibration of your body, mind, and spirit. So, in today's talk, we are looking at the dangers of virtue signaling and what that is, and the inner roots of this dysfunctional trend, as well as learn how to align our vibration with our true values. And then lastly, we'll pick two intuition cards to access the further subconscious insight around this topic today. So thanks so much for joining me. Today's one is a doozy, like they all are typically, but this one obviously is a very heated topic. And so thanks for joining me. I think we're going to get a lot out of this today. So we live in this very fabricated world of this social media culture, and there is a cancel culture, and I'm not going to go into that as much today, but it's unfriending, it's canceling, it's unsubscribing, it's blocking people in our lives that we have a difficult time with. So we'll get into that in another talk. But today, in this crazy fabricated world of social media, many are trading in their core values for external displays of righteousness. And this righteousness is supposed righteousness. It's a label, it's a hashtag, it's a sticker, it's a posting. And some are using this platform or one of these platforms to dial in their advocacy rather than actually being their core value system and operating from that place. So they're not really critically thinking about what hashtags they're using. They're not critically thinking or even investigating what's behind the stickers. And then they also go as far as condemning those who do not follow suit of the current narrative. So today's talk is so important, especially for anyone who's on social media, but especially for those with influence. It is critical today more than ever that we keep ourselves in check and we do not compromise our values to appease others or to gain more followers. Having a courageous voice in today's environment, in today's culture, is so critical. So thank you for being here with me on this talk. I know it is taking an immense amount of courage for me to talk about this today because the risk around these two very heated topics of the virus and of racism is really charged right now, and doing this on a live video obviously makes me nervous, but I'm here to be transparent with you guys, okay? So we are collectively either marching towards a forced uniformity and basing each other's self-worth on external measures like labels or symbols that we are posting, or we are celebrating each other's uniqueness with each other and having the courage to abide by our own set of principles, okay? And this takes immense courage. So let's talk first about what is virtue signaling. So British journalist James Bartholomew is credited for originating this rather pejorative term about a conspicuous expression of moral values to get attention. And in psychology, in evolutionary psychology and what they call the signaling theory, it's considered natural behavior because we need to give signals to other humans, and animals give signals to other animals in the mating process or connecting of tribal mentality. And this can have a very beneficial or a very detrimental impact. So we need to take a look at this. So virtue signaling, let's break it down. So virtue is, by definition, moral excellence. It's a moral righteousness, a kindness, a goodness, and signaling is getting other people to see it, bringing attention to it. And next week, I'm going to go deeper about why that is that we so need other people to see us and to recognize us. We'll go deeper with that. But virtue signaling is needing people to see our moral righteousness. So why do we do this? There's a lot to cover, so I'm going to go quickly through this. But I really do believe our intentions are good. I am a believer in the inherent goodness of humanity. And this is not because I have proof or I can say I'm God and I know how we were made, but because this belief system is empowering to me and the opposite is not. I feel as though I truly believe that most of, if not all of us, are coming from a very well-intentioned place. But, big but, we are wanting a simple solution to a very complicated problem. It's a very juvenile approach to want a quick fix that, to that inner feeling of needing to be useful, to be of service, having a purpose in this world and feeling like we're making our mark. And then also we need to be acknowledged. So we want a simple solution. We need to feel like we're purposeful. We need to be acknowledged. And we don't want to be, this is probably the most crucial part of this, we don't want to be ousted by the tribe. Some are influenced by that and motivated by that. Some are not so much. But there is a real threat to isolation, to rejection, to collective and public and social shaming and rejection through that shaming if you do not conform. Okay, so there is a real threat to our sense of egoic survival and social survival and tribal survival if we do not adopt the current narrative that we are being kind of forced down our throats, okay? So we'll talk about why we need to be accepted in next week's Sacred Sunday, but let's keep going. So why is this dangerous? Why is this virtue signaling dangerous? Why is this virtue signaling to shame others dangerous? Okay, so the term virtual signaling is also associated with another term that was created by Harris Whittles, who was an American comedian and writer, producer for Parks and Recreation. He ended up ending or dying of an accidental overdose, but he died of a heroin overdose. And the reason why I bring that up is there was a severe discordance, obviously, in somebody who is injecting heroin into their body. However, he knew that there was something towards this idea, and he coined the term humble brag, the art of false modesty. So this comedian brought attention to this tendency that we now have to get public about our righteousness. And like I said, next week we'll point to the inner dysfunctions around why we do this. But this is critical because if we look at this virtue signaling, this humble bragging, so to speak, is a way for us to hide behind the dysfunctions that we have inside of us. So the second thing is, why is this dangerous? So it covers up our own sickness, our own discordance. Number two, there's a lack of critical thinking about the current narrative. Why do we have things like everybody posting the black square? What's the symbolism behind that? Symbols are so powerful, and if we're using them without understanding them, they can be flat out dangerous, okay? Symbolism has been used throughout history by corrupt and immoral leaders to unify and control people. So we must take a look at the symbols, the language, the verbiage that is being used to repeat over and over and over again to kind of snap out of this hypnotic trance that we're in. So I bring up a couple symbols, okay? Why was the swastika used during the time of Hitler? Why was the Nazi salute, the arm salute, used? If we look into the history of it, and I've put some links in the notes and the references for this, but the swastika is actually a sacred symbol of auspiciousness in the Indian religions, but it's been used even back to Grecian times. And it represents divinity, well-being. It represents spirituality, prosperity, and peace. And for 200 years, the actual Christian cross was used during the Crusades to kill 200,000 at least people in the name of goodness and conversion. We've used symbols to adopt a belief, or in the time of the Nazi regime, to have the swastika, to make the arm salute, the verbal arm salute of the appreciation of this horrific leader. Those were two things to say, okay, you're on our team, that's it, and then you stop thinking about it. But what's behind how the symbol was distorted and turned and used, and it now is associated, this once beautiful symbol is now collectively associated with the mass killing of thousands of Jews, or millions of Jews. So like in association with symbols, we have to look at, why are we using the hashtags we're using? Why are we using the stickers that we're using, okay? if we have somebody using the cross, which is a beautiful symbol from Christianity, and we don't even look at their behavior, but we say, okay, yep, they're good. They've got their get out of hell free card because they have their cross around their neck and they believe that Jesus is their savior. So we're not even going to look at their behavior really, or we don't reflect on that. We're a sinner and we're saved. And if we just stop at the symbols, guys, and we just stop at the words, we are going to get very, very lost. And this is very apparent right now. So you talk about fascism, we are being controlled through these symbolisms and through these words that we are repeating, parroting without critically thinking about them. So, you know, there's an oversimplification of solutions right now. So we think that putting a hashtag or putting a sticker like Black Lives Matter, okay, we say Black Lives Matter, but have we even looked at the actual organization, the actual phrase Black Lives Matter, and not what we think it means, which is, of course, every single life on this planet matters, and African Americans have been clearly violated for centuries, right? And we have a very dark history in this country. But have we looked at who's funding Black Lives Matter? Look behind the curtain at the wizard. What's going on? The investigation is crucial. There are things that are now being put out, like on YouTube, that say advertisements that say no lives matter until Black Lives Matter. Just the message of no lives matter, that was taken down. But even there was an Instagram sticker, mute white people, that was also received criticism and taken down. But how many people took those, reposted it without even thinking about the morality and how that violated their morality behind it? Okay, so our attempt at silencing or controlling others who are truly advocating, we're doing this with this virtue signaling, okay? And we're wanting them to conform to the current narrative. And there is no better example of this than something I saw recently. I first heard Tim Ballard speak from Operation Underground Railroad, OUR, at a conference in 2017. Now this company, or this outreach, gathered the world's experts in extraction operations, and their anti-trafficking efforts are focused on bringing an end to child slavery. So they have rescued 3,800 victims, arrested over 2,000 traffickers. I mean, they've done amazing work. And something was posted on one of their Instagram that said, you know, you should change your name. You shouldn't use the abolitionists as an example of what you're doing right now. They're freeing people from slavery of all kinds, but focusing mostly on trafficking. And this woman just pulled it out of this thin air to criticize this beautiful organization that is truly advocating boots on the ground, freeing children from child sex trafficking. So we're being pulled away from our own values. And now I'm sure this woman, if she checked herself, would realize that, you know, she could support this group or this organization rather than posting something to say you should change your name, okay? But why is this ineffective, this virtual signaling? It's ineffective for three reasons. It's divisive. So instead of working together towards a constructive solution, we're attacking each other to do or say the right thing according to the narrative, okay? It's superficial. So the intention of words and actions are important, obviously. However, if we only stop there, we're looking at the external symbols of righteousness, not true righteousness. Number three, it's hypocritical. The detrimental effect of our virtual signaling is going completely against what we are really trying to do in this world, which I think is make a really positive influence. So what's the solution here? Okay, I'm going to go to this more next week because obviously I'm running out of time, but I'm going to say to you, we have to accept that life will never be perfect. People will never be uniformed. We have free will. It is not the design of this human reality here on earth. It's just not. What can we do through acceptance, through critical thought, through honoring each other's sovereignty, through stop pointing the finger of blame? How do we do this? How do we check our own filters? We will go through this next week. Join me next week on the Sacred Sunday to explore why we do this and how to get better at connecting with our own personal value system rather than just be reactionary. We are tanking what it is that we are trying to do collectively. So guys, thank you so much for joining me. I do coaching. Tonight is the Women's Circle. Love all of you. I put oils in the notes that really help with this too. So until next time, keep raising the vibration. Watch those virtual signaling. Bye.